Harry Bradley has been my teacher. Yes, I was a student of Harry Bentley Bradley, which in my opinion was one of the best teachers that the Art Center College of Design ever had. Harry Bentley Bradley sadly passed away on the 13th of May of this year, 2023. He was born in 1939. He was an American car designer, one of the earliest ones that really made a big change of American car design in the 50s, in the 60s. And you have to understand and picture also the time period those guys became car designers and how the industry, the automobile industry and the industry in general at that time was working, and the mentality of that time. So Harry Bradley was one of those early designers that understood the importance of respecting as much as possible the original design to bring it to production. And for this, sometimes he paid badly because he had some bosses and design director or managers that did not understand that. Harry Bradley is very famous because he's the one that made all the first long-lasting collection of Hot Wheels. He was the first designer, one of the earliest designers that really made the biggest part of this company success. There are lots of collectibles today, toys, Hot Wheels, and he worked with this company for many years. And he had also the opportunity, when he was at General Motors, to have some cooperation with Pininfarina in Italy. That's something that he told me. He was very known also because he had his own company, custom cars company, and he used to make those beautiful custom cars with flames and stuff, very popular at that time, especially in California. But today, after this brief introduction, I just want to talk about Harry as my ex-teacher and probably the best one I ever had in transportation design, because through all my careers, now it's 34 years, I always been thinking of him when I sketch. And the reason is very simple, because he had a very drastic approach that I really liked. At the beginning, I really hated because it was so hard at the beginning. And then I understood the importance of being honest and being a little bit hard at the beginning to wake you up and make you understand that you are studying in a very particular type of school for a very small niche major, and the jobs out there are not really many. Therefore, if you want to make it, you really have to work a lot and work very hard trying to push your talent, your creativity, and this comes only out of lots of exercise. Harry Bradley taught to us Transportation Design 1, and therefore he was the first teacher in car design that I ever had in my life. I was coming from a very small village in south of Italy. I had a fairly, I would say, good knowledge of Giugiaro, Pininfarina, Zagato, Bertone. Those were Michelotti. Those were my references, of course, being Italian, with all the design of the 70s and the 80s. But when we come to American cars, the only cars I used to see were those on the series TV. And for me, they were incredibly interesting because they were so big. But I had no idea who was behind those designs. So when I get to California and I start going to Art Center College of Design, I get to the first day of my transportation design class. And I was very excited. I was very excited, just like everybody in the class. But I'm sure that my ex-colleagues and friends, if today's designers, if they are watching this video, please write comments, okay? Write your experience or your souvenir with Harry. So I was there, and I remember that the first thing he did when he got into the class, he started saying to those that were a little bit late, "You are late. You are in my studio and you are late. this is unacceptable from an employee. So that was the beginning. Then the second thing he said, remember, in this class you are 25 people. Probably only 2 or 3 of you will become real car designers. Then there will be probably 4 or 5 that will only do accessory for car design world. And all the others, I don't know and I don't care. And then he said, my name is Henry Bentley Bradley. I am a designer and I am your teacher of transportation design 1 class. So that was the beginning. When I look at that, I said, oh my God, what's going on here? Then he made of course he made his lesson, start teaching us a little bit proportions and sketching few things. And when I saw the way he was sketching, I told myself that to sketch like that, I should have worked like years. And then he said, okay, today I will give you the first assignment, all right? Don't think that this assignment it's easy. But anyway, you have to do on 1 A3 paper, you have to use an ellipse guide, which is this one. You have to choose this size of ellipse, and you have the Prismacolor set, which is this one. I would like to show you. And you have to use 1 ellipse perfectly aligned horizontally and vertically to cover the whole page. Really well done. Same distance from the side, each sides from the border of the page. And each ellipse will be done with 1 color, starting from the first color, and you will finish to the last color of your Prismacolor set. So when I listened to that, I said, wow, that's pretty easy. So what's the problem? And that's it? Okay, I'll do it. Well, I tell you one thing, that to make that exercise, I finished at 4 o'clock in the morning. Because in reality was an extremely complicated exercise, was not just 1 page. You see this Prismacolor set, this is a new one, but at that time I had another one just like this one. There are so many colors, and you cannot do it if you don't have a real sharp point. So we were constantly sharpening our pencils, making those ellipses with the color, not with another color. And then we had to make the shading inside, and the shading had to be perfect. We could not make a shading with, with some spaces in between the lines, or make it darker and lighter and then darker again. It had to be very homogeneous. So you understand that exercise really killed the whole week for us, because it was very, very hard to do. Now, the hardest thing was when we went the week after and we all put on the wall for the first time all this exercise. Each one of us had, I think, 5 or 6 A3 format full of colors, all the same order. And it was very beautiful when you got into the class and see all those walls full, all those colors, perfectly made. It was really beautiful. Today, everybody would have used the telephone to make a short video or a few pictures. The second thing he said, okay, let me see this. So he started working he was in front of each presentation. He was looking all over them. Then he passed to the next one. He was not talking. So we were there. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And then he finished the whole thing. And then he pronounced 7 names. And between those names, there was my name. You guys did it wrong. Therefore, I'm not going to give you a feedback. And for me, you have to redo the exercise. Bove, you have to redo this page because there is a little mistake on the number 3 ellipse. Come here and check. This is unacceptable, has to be precise and perfect. And the same thing for others. Basically, that day, I understood personally that if you want to make it in this field, if you want to become a car designer, the road, to go through, the path, the adventure, it's going to be very, very difficult. And one of the most important thing that each one of us have to understand and accept is that in order to get to a certain type of level, you need a lot of discipline. Because that exercise was about discipline, the being on time like a professional, being disciplined like a professional. Do your work with responsibility like a professional. Do your work in a very good way so that your client, when he looks at your work is not sloppy or lousy. And you show that you really care for your work. So that was not a car design sketch exercise or the first cars. That was a simple exercise in a way to mold us into a new mentality and say, hey guys, if you really want to do this, you better work like hell. So that type of example, it's something then that became my reference when I start teaching at Art Center Europe. Because when I start teaching at Art Center Europe, I was, of course, at the beginning a little bit embarrassed. I was very young. I was thinking of Harry or Ted Youngkin or Andy Ogden, Geza Loxi, Taylor, all those great teachers of that time. And I said, I'm so young. I hardly have any experience. I mean, what can I do? So what did I do? I remember that type of teaching approach that Harry Bradley had and gave us, and also all the demos, all the feedbacks he used to give us, how he pushed us to see and develop our critical eye, be critical with ourselves, be demanding with ourselves. Check your work and with your classmates or your friends and see if your work is really strange or not. He is the one that told me, look at your sketch from the back to check all the mistakes. And then he's also the one that was very, very generous and very, very, how can I say, a very, very good man with a very big soul, a great soul. I remember that several times he would pass by when he would see people that need to be encouraged, that he would do it. He would do it his own way. He was not somebody like me that we have fun, we make a joke. He hardly would make jokes. Life has not been very nice with him either. But at the same time, he understood the moment he had to go and approach somebody and he made just a quick demo to explain and saying, you get the point, that's the thing you have, that's your mistake, that's where you should improve, and do it again, and then come back to me and I'll check again for you. So, and that's also another thing that I took from him, because every time I am with my students, when I was in school, when I was teaching, I was, who has been my student knows. Maybe if you guys are watching this video, you can write few comments too. But I always played, because I believe in it. That's why, because I admire the way he was a teacher, his method. And I took a little bit of that, because I think that's the best way to stimulate people to do more, because what we need to do, what we are trying to do, is to push people to make an extra step. And it's not easy, because it's also a mental job, it's also psychological. And a lot of people have a strong potential, they don't know. And if you don't have a teacher that is pushing mentally, the risk is that those talents never explore their full potential. And the objective of an educator, as I believe, and as Harry Bradley also believed a lot, is to force you, to push you, to put you to the limits, even if you almost cracking down, to make sure that that you understand who you really are and what you can really offer. So that was the little anecdotes that I remember of Harry Bradley with lots of affection. And the good thing is that when I was teaching at Art Center Europe for 6 months, on an interchange program. Some teachers from Art Center Pasadena came to Art Center Europe in Switzerland, in Vevey, and Henry Bradley was there. So I was so happy, to meet him again. And I remember that day was really great. We have the first meeting, with him as a teacher. For me was a real honor. Well, anyway, so I wanted to give you this, share with you those memories, because Henry Bradley quitted us and he was a great man. Thank you.